All right. Good evening, Manhattan, New York City, the world, the universe, and beyond. My name is Kirk Kerber, and we're going to get you some videos, and we're going to expand your mind in about 30 seconds, going out live to over 1 million people in New York City, the internet as a whole, and Manhattan specifically. So, we are going live now in 10 seconds. Yoga breath and live. Good evening, Manhattan, New York City, the world, the universe, and beyond. My name is Kirk Kerber, and I am a certified master hypnotist. I'm a psychic, spiritual medium, personal oracle, coach, advisor, and shamanic healer, interdimensional shamanic healer. I'm here in this time slot on your television and on your computer laptop, going live out of Studio 4 in New York City, Manhattan, and out to the greater New York City, the 5 boroughs, and anywhere there is a computer connection. I just certified as master hypnotist, even though I've been giving out therapeutic trance healing sessions to my clients for over 5 years and offering those to my clients. I am now legal, legit, certified in the history of hypnosis and studying that and certified in that with tests, as well as an Ericksonian therapeutic focus-based hypnotist. And that was over, what was that, like 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours? It was a lot of hours. So I'm now getting certified in 2 more introduction to hypnosis modalities, as well as a 4th certificate in a therapeutic focus on hypnosis and hypnotism with the specific focus alleviating the problems of PTSD. So, having said that, tonight's reminder is right on your screen. Reality is negotiable, and I've said that. There's a book by a well-known stage performer, hypnotist. He's a street performer. He's also kind of known as a rogue performer. He's a little rough around the edges, but he knows his stuff. That's Anthony Jacquin. He hails from the UK, and he gives workshops. He has various websites, and he wrote a book that was been very influential on me called Reality is Plastic. And I have been saying for years, forget everything you know about reality because it is wrong. So I tell my clients that too when they come to me the first time. Forget everything you know about reality because it's wrong. So that begs a couple of questions. How negotiable is reality? Well, the fact of the matter is, after studying quantum mechanics, psychic, spiritual, metaphysical quantum mechanics, that means really, it's like the theory of everything, kind of broken down into parts. How do we negotiate? How do we become full creators in our lives? Is it possible to literally like morph your body, take on weight, lose weight, change your eye color? Can you change the fabric of where you are, like down to even the buildings or the sidewalk? Changing people's minds, influencing them. The list goes on and on. A lot of my clients come to me because they're in a period of the dark night of the soul, and that's a form of suffering, and they want me to alleviate their suffering. So the trance hypnosis sessions, I have always known how to put somebody in a trance. And I learned how to put people in a trance by going into a trance myself. I'm also over 30 years clean and sober, but the 12 years that I drank and took drugs, I was in a trance. And it took a long time for me to even be convinced that I was in the trance, and then how do you get out of the trance? And then I spent the next 30 years figuring out this is the trance, this is not the trance. So I'm a triple Gemini, which is kind of all mutable, and Pisces rising. So those are naturally kind of mental trance states already, especially the Pisces. So it's very easy for me to get into my trance so then I can help and assist the clients in their trance, as well as get their minds relaxed so they can get in a full state of suggestibility, so we can start tweaking their minds and taking out the things that are causing them suffering, either conscious things or subconscious things as well, and then putting things in that the client wants. That is, you usually have one assessment session to find out, maybe two, to get a very in-depth look at the subject's or client situation. What exactly are they dealing with? Do they need bliss? They need stamina? They're dealing with fatigue. They're dealing with chronic pain. So not everything can be, we don't use the word cure, but not everything can be alleviated with or made better with hypnosis. But I think you'd be very surprised at the things that can be alleviated. And that, I had clients that are living with chronic pain, and even one session, she said it lasted 7 days. Whew. So this is Kirk Kerber, Master Hypnotist. I got the mojo going on over here for you. And, I can take things out of your mind. I can put things in your mind. And please go to my website and read my client reviews to see what my clients say. The recommendations speak for themselves. But we're not here giving you a pitch. What we're doing is we're going to do some education, as we have for the last going on over 15 years. 15 years of spiritual, supernatural, mystical, and magical television programs out of the studio. 15 years. It seems like a decade and a half. Seems like a long time to be talking about metaphysics, Kirk. Well, kind of is. So here we are again. I show up, I hit my mark. I do this show as a loving service dedicated to your expansion of your soul and your spiritual unfoldment. And my entire life has basically been dedicated to studying trances, trance states, the definitions of reality, and how negotiable is reality. Shakti and Namaste, I'm sending you a blessing, healing, and a blessing energy of love and light. And yes, even through the computer screen or the TV that you're watching on right now, past, present, or future. So let's just go right into our video tonight. If we have time, we can show two. I may have shown this before. I may have shown this one before, but let's just watch it together again. And here it goes.
Yeah, seriously.
You look at our computing power today, and you say, I have the power to program a world inside of a computer. Well, imagine in the future where you have even more power than that, and you can create characters that have, for example, free will. And I program in the laws that govern that world. Now, you're a character in that world, and you think you have free will, and you say, I want to invent a computer. So you do. Hey, I want to create a world in my computer. So now you lay out all these universes and throw a dart. Which of these universes are you most likely to hit? The original one that started it, or the countless simulations, the daughter simulations that unfolded thereafter?
Vsauce. I'm Jake, and we are living in a simulation. Or at least that's what the simulation hypothesis proposes. That if a civilization, a post-human civilization, were to become significantly technologically advanced, then we would most likely be simulated. There are two worlds, two realities. The primary world, which is where the simulation is being run, and the secondary world, the simulated universe we occupy, which to us is the only one. And when creating this world, there are 3 steps to successfully making the user believe it to be real: immersion, absorption, and saturation. Think about video games like Age of Empires, Civilization, or The Sims. They're about recreating or mimicking reality, reliving past events, or creating new ones. And in 20 years, we went from games looking like this to this. As visuals advance, as the experiences become more immersive and digital characters start reacting seemingly on their own, our understanding of what is real and what isn't starts to blur. Now, characters in a video game are bound by a set of rules, a set of defining laws. A sim can't walk through a wall even though it isn't actually. It's just lines of code that define what is or is not solid, but it's still called a wall.
Now think of our own world. This is a collection of atoms that together form an object that we call a wall. It's been atomically programmed to form a specific shape. We are left with something that looks like, that feels like a wall. We don't see the microscopic pieces that build it, just like we don't see the code in a game. We just expect it to act a certain way because of how our world is designed. We trust that this is made of something physical, not just a programmed artificial boundary.
When someone comes to your house, how do they get there? Do you see them leave? Do you see them on their drive? They leave their home, time passes, and there they are. It's world gestalt, a structure or configuration of details which together implies the existence of a world and causes the audience to fill in the missing pieces of that world based on details given. If I walk off frame left, you'd imagine I'd come back around. But if I come back from somewhere unexpected, your perception of reality has been minutely fractured. It's that world gestalt, the assumption of how things should be that allows a simulated reality to function. Not everything needs to be rendered, needs to exist simultaneously for every user in the simulation. Maybe the reason the universe is expanding and growing is that it hasn't finished loading yet. Think of VR. If you are looking in front of you, what is behind you isn't necessarily rendered. It hasn't become real. It isn't until you turn your head that it comes into existence. And what was just in front of you is now gone. So the question becomes, how do you know anything exists when you're not looking at it?
It's the technological version of solipsism, the idea that only your own mind is certain to exist. Everything inside of this frame, the person animating it, the office they're in, the entire world around them, including you, might not exist outside of my own mind.
So let's say we are in a simulation. Why would someone or something do it to this scale in the first place? One of the reasons to run a massive simulation like this is proposed by philosophy professor Nick Bostrom in his paper, Are You Living in a Computer Simulation? He states that it could be an ancestor simulation. A civilization wanted to see what those before them had done, like a history book, but instead of it being read, it's being acted out. Or we could just be characters in an incredibly advanced video game. In our Simuverse, we would be the Sims, and in this universe, we even get to play our own very rudimentary version of simulation games on computers, in consoles, thinking that we are in control. And in video games, graphics improve. They get better with our technology, but they don't need to be perfect. With virtual reality, we know that what we are looking at isn't real, but to our senses. To our mind, it is, and we react accordingly. So in this version we live in, it seems real to us because this is all we've known, but to those that program this Simuverse, reality could be much different. It is Plato's allegory of the cave.
Plato suggests that you have prisoners chained in a cave from birth, not able to look at each other or anywhere besides directly in front of them at a wall. All they see are shadows projected onto the wall by a fire they've never seen behind them. This is all they've known, so to them the shadows are reality, and the voices they hear are from the shadows as well. Since they've never experienced anything else, never seen a real person, had a human interaction, they have no understanding of the outside world or the world at all. And if a prisoner were to escape and leave the cave, they would be so frightened and confused by what they saw that they would choose to come back to the comfort of their cave, of their reality.
And just like the prisoners in that cave, what we see in front of us, we believe to be true, believe to be real. The difficulty in deciding if what we are in right now is real life or simulated life is what NYU professor David Chalmers said, that any evidence that we get could be simulated. And there is one important distinction to make. We are not in a virtual world, a world that exists independent of us actually being in it. In that scenario, we are players in a game and there is a flesh and blood version of us somewhere controlling this. That is not the case with this idea. We are in a simulated world, which means we're not users, we're not players, we are simulated as well. As Philip K. Dick said, fake realities will create fake humans.
So why would anybody think that the universe is simulated? Actually, we have 5 assumptions for you. If they're correct, then you, dear viewer, are simulated.
So follow me into a different reality over on Kurt's Gesagt. And as always,
Thanks for watching.
Watching. All right. What else do we have? Take a deep yoga breath. My name's Kirk, and if you just tuned in, I am a master certified hypnotist focused on Ericksonian therapeutic and working on a certificate in PTSD, hypnotism. And what is our second video? Is reality real? So basically tonight we're just talking about, hey, reality is negotiable. And remember, if you've heard nothing else I've said tonight, forget everything you know about reality, because it is wrong. Shakti Namaste. Video number 2. Is reality real?
Our senses and brains can only process a fraction of the world. So we have to use concepts and tools to learn about the true nature of reality. Technological progress not only widened our knowledge about the universe, it also made us aware of unsettling possibilities. In the future, it might become possible to simulate entire universes. But if this is an option, how can we know that it's not already happened? What if we are not creators, but creations? Is it possible that we are not real and we don't even know it? If our current understanding of physics is correct, then it's impossible to simulate the whole universe with its trillions and trillions of things. But we don't actually need to anyway. We only need enough universe to fool the inhabitants of our simulation into thinking that they're real. Who needs billions of galaxies? We only need the space our subjects are allowed to explore.
the vast universe could just be a flat projection, and they would have no way to know.
What about small things like cells or bacteria? We don't really need them. When you use a microscope, what you see could be instantly created. Same with atoms. The chair you're sitting on right now does not need to be simulated with quadrillions of atoms. We just need the outermost layer of it. It might be empty inside until you decide to break it open. Your body might feel like it's filled with bubbly things, but it might be empty until you open it. The minimum requirement for our simulation is only the consciousness of our virtual humans. Our subjects just need to think the simulation is real. Okay, so are we being simulated? Well, maybe, but there are a few conditions that need to be met. Obviously, we have no authority over this topic, so please take everything we say with a grain of salt. Based on a modified version of the original simulation argument by Nick Bostrom, we have 5 assumptions for you. If they're true, you, dear viewer, are living in a simulation. Assumption 1. It's possible to simulate consciousness. Nobody knows what consciousness is. For the sake of argument, let's assume that you could generate consciousness by simulating a brain. Brains are pretty complex.
If you count every interaction between synapses as one operation, your brain runs at about 10 to the power of 17, or 100 million billion operations per second. Let's generously assume we need 10 to the power of 20 operations to simulate 1 second of human consciousness. But we don't want to simulate just one human, we want to simulate all of human history at once so we can skip around. Let's say we want to simulate 200 billion humans with an average lifespan of 50 years. 1 year has 30 million seconds, times 50 years, times 200 billion humans, times 10 to the power of 20 operations.
So we need a computer able to handle 1,000,000 trillion operations per second. More operations than there are stars in the observable universe. A computer like this is just impossible. Except maybe it isn't. Assumption 2. Technological progress will not stop anytime soon. If we assume that technological progress continues in a similar fashion as it has so far, then there might be galaxy-spanning civilizations with unlimited computer power at some point. Beings on a technology level so advanced that we could barely distinguish them from gods. A computer that can handle 1,000,000 trillion operations is serious business, but there are actually concepts for computers which could handle this. The Matryoshka brain is a theoretical megastructure made up of billions of parts orbiting a star feeding on its radiation. A computer of this scale would have enough power to simulate many thousands, if not millions, of humanities at the same time. Other technologies, like high-end future quantum computers, might lower the size drastically, so it might be possible to do this with a structure the size of a large city, or even smaller. But only if there's still someone around to build the computer. Assumption 3. Advanced civilizations don't destroy themselves. If there is a point at which all civilizations destroy themselves, this whole discussion ends here. Looking into space, you'd expect a universe filled with millions of alien civilizations, but we see nobody. The reason for this might be great filters. Great filters are barriers life has to overcome, like nuclear war, asteroids, climate change, or a black hole generator. If life is inherently self-destructive, then there are no simulations. We explain this in more detail in our Fermi Paradox video. Assumption 4. Super advanced civilizations want to run simulations. When we speak of post-human civilizations, we don't know what we're dealing with. To think we know what beings as powerful as gods want is pretty arrogant. Imagine the smartest ant on Earth living next to an amusement park. It's curious about what humans are up to, so you try to explain. Unfortunately, the ant just doesn't understand. The concept of roller coasters and standing in lines and holidays and fun doesn't make sense to an ant living an ant life. It's the same with us and a post-human being. Compared to them, we are ants. Running simulations for fun or science might be an absurdly stupid idea to them. But if they do want to run simulations for whatever reasons, and assumptions 1 to 3 are true too, then the chances are not zero that you are living inside a simulation. Assumption 5. If there are a lot of simulations, you are probably inside a simulation. If there are simulated civilizations, it's likely that there are a lot of them. After all, we assume that post-human beings have access to practically unlimited computing power. So if they run simulations, it would be convenient to run millions or even billions of them. If there are billions of simulated universes, there are probably trillions and trillions of simulated conscious beings, which would mean that the vast majority of all conscious beings that will ever have existed are simulated. So for every conscious being made of flesh, 1 billion simulated ones exist.
Since we have no way of knowing if we are simulated or not, in this case, the chances of you being one of the 999,999,999 simulated ones are pretty high. So what you consider reality might not be real at all. You really might be simulated.
All of this is based on a lot of assumptions that we can't really test right now, so many scientists disagree with this whole thought experiment. So don't burn your house down to test if there will be glitches. If you are simulated, not that much changes for you. You might be on a small planet speeding through eternal nothingness, or a simulation inside a computer. Your existence does not become more or less scary and bizarre. All we can hope to do is try to live good lives and have a good time. And hope that if we actually are simulations in a supercomputer, nobody trips over the power cable.
Oh no. I think I just unplugged the simulation. But what if that doesn't matter? What if we are in one right now? What if you are simulated?
Jake over at Vsauce 3 is looking into that. Click here to watch his video and subscribe to his channel.
Okay, We'd like to thank Vsauce. Are you in the simulation? We just watched it. Let's see.
Why are you still here? Go over to Vsauce 3, watch the video and...
Go on over to Vsauce 3. Okay, if you guys want to check this out, here is, if you can get a pen, I can't even say that, but watch part 2 on Vsauce 3. Okay, Vsauce. So, do you want to go to part 2? Oh, we already saw that.
Hi, Barbara
one,
Corcoran
right?
here from Shark Tank. If you're watching this video, that means I'm coming to your town for a live event. I've learned a lot in my life about making...
Okay, you can go over... Now, I don't have, like, totally hip, sexy, cool videos like the 2 that we just watched. But here is my profile on YouTube. And this is Spiritual Healing Arts. And I have... I don't know, around 100 hours of videos all over the internet. So you can check those out, and they're all free. And there's lots of fun stuff and videos and a bunch of interviews. There's about 20 interviews with spiritual, supernatural, mystical, and magical people. And what else do I have? I've got a bunch of, here you go on the side and you can see the playlists that I have set up for you. So here are videos about hypnosis, spiritual television videos that of my show, and law of attraction videos. And so I just got a bunch of like cool, hip, sexy stuff. And if you type in my name, you can kind of track down some of the older stuff as well. And there's all kinds of stuff for you to read, and it's all free. That's right, it's all free, and it's all over the internet. And a lot of video content and old shows. And then if you go over to the Quora website, you're going to type in Kirk Kerber at Quora. I actually answer a lot of questions for people, and there's no charge for this website. And people ask you questions. Like you can see, you know, I answer questions about the tarot, about readings, shamanism, psychics, tarot cards, and soon I will be answering questions about hypnotism. So, we have run out of time just for tonight in our simulation here. I'd like to thank you for watching. And I don't know, do we have... let's see, meditation. We can get like, we're really basically kind of out of time. But, so I was going to give you some like really cool music.
If humanity, you have to try Monday.com.
So, I will see you next week in our simulation. And I'd like to thank you for watching. My name's Kirk, and it's been my pleasure to be your spiritual, supernatural, spiritual and magical, mystical, magical, hypnotic host here tonight and every Monday night. And check me out. And if you have any questions for me, you just send me an email at kirktv@gmail.com. And I'm, as always, wishing you infinite amounts of blessings in every reality imaginable. Shakti Namaste. Thanks for watching, guys. And we will see you next week in the Cyber Temple of Love. Remember, reality is plastic, like Anthony Jacquin said. And I said, reality is negotiable. And remember, your life's going to be a lot easier if you forget that everything you know about reality is wrong. Shakti Namaste. Okay, guys, I'll see you next week. Shakti.